Great. It's just after 10:30 p.m. on the East Coast, and I'm back. And yeah, I was working. There's a lot of stuff still going on, but I did learn a lot. We're probably going to have more than zero in our account at the end of the day. There's a lot of stuff going on. And well, I mean, I learned a lot of interesting things. So basically, I bet too much on a few games, focusing on a few games. So that has to stop. We have a $200 bankroll here to start. I have $60 on the Hawks who just completely got run over. So that's almost a third of the bankroll. And on the Sabres, $70 on the Sabres all to win. That is too much of your bankroll on one outcome. I mean, you should keep it to under 20 or 10% of your bankroll on any one outcome in a night, I would imagine. So I got a little frisky thinking that the Sabres would score a goal back and it'd be fun to watch. And it was fun to watch, and they just could not score and then gave up another one. So I couldn't even win this. I did learn that it is good to follow up stuff like this. So notice that I have this Canisius situation, or what I say it wrong. Canisius, right? They call it Canisius. So I won money on this game. It's interesting, even though they lost. Pick of the day, but they lost. But here's what I won money on. I couldn't cash out the plus 8.5 because it was always close. That was a great pick. And then I had them at plus 540 and they offered me $51. And they would have offered me a lot more than that had I held on to it longer, because Canisius was up and came back and forth. I would have gotten more than $100 on this, I feel like. Because here's what happens if you take away the cash out and call that game a win, you get 106. They would have offered me $100 when Canisius was up. And they missed multiple attempts to close it out at the end of regulation and at the end of overtime. They missed. I mean, they just kept missing. So you're not going to win every game. But that's the thing, is I made money on it because of the strategy in that sense. So what that made me realize, because they lost by 1 point, was this pick should not have been plus 250 unless it was at the very beginning, or I should have cashed this one out and let this one ride because the payout was so much better. And this really should have been something like this at, yeah, you probably get it at minus 110 at some point throughout the game. And then you can win that bet instead of lose it and make this. This number is wrong. But anyway, point is, really, really interesting things I learned. And I'm probably going to be down, but not necessarily. If Missouri State, who's just taken the lead with, oh yeah, I need to check my cash outs. Hold on. This is a perfect situation. Let me explain what's going on. So what's happening here is I have Missouri State over BYU in a lot of different things. And I did this because the algorithm has them with a decent percentage. And let's try this again. So what happens is they are right here. It's actually kind of fun. I'm not that anxious. I got anxious at the very beginning when I was making all these bets and building this thing for everyone and pasting it relentlessly in the Google Sheet, which I'll show you in a minute. But once I got the hang of it, now I'm kind of calm with what's going on. And it wasn't really, I mean, it's definitely need to pay attention, but I knew there was going to be a finite end, sort of. At least there can be a finite end. I'm comfortable with how to do that. And so that's why I was able to start the video and kind of show you where we're at and what's going on. So what I said we have Missouri State and a bunch of different stuff. So what's going on is what's active right now is a plus 290, a plus 255, and them on a 3-team parlay, which I thought might be an interesting idea to parlay stuff together, so that when your favorites that you're betting, instead of loading up, having one big one, if you put them together, then if there's a period throughout the night where all three of them are coming back and taking the lead again, you get offered a monster cash out on this 5-1, because it looks like they're all going to win, even though there's still 3 independent outcomes. So that made me think about trying that. And that's something that I'm actually going to try tomorrow, because even if we somehow lost all this tonight, which is possible, I guess, but if we did, we would still throw in some money and do this again tomorrow, because I definitely enjoy what was happening here. And in a sense, you're trying to beat the algorithm that FanDuel, in this case, I'm playing against FanDuel. FanDuel has an algorithm that's cashing out a number based on what they think the outcome of the game is. And it is a program. It is not a person doing that manually. I'm sure there's some human check to make sure it doesn't go crazy, but I don't think so. I actually think it probably just automatically comes out. So for example, I can cash out this bet right now, right here, that could pay It's a perfect example. It could pay 78, and they're only up by 2 points with 7 minutes 40 left. They're going to give me 36.21. How can you say no to that? I'm taking it. It's almost double your money. They're only up by 2 points and they're on the road and may not win. That's why I said the outcome is that says a plus 320. Sorry, I had them plus 320. Where is that? It's actually 320. Sorry, it's not 290. It's 320 on my screen. Unless there's another one on here. No, I think that's it. So I just took 36.21 because I could have got 84 actually. I might have made my decision a little bit, but taking almost 2-1 when the outcome is still completely in doubt, because look what happened. I did not win the game. We did an in-game cash out instead. And I made $16.21. Other bets I have on this game are only 10. So I'd be up money on this game regardless. I'm basically free rolling with this 10 at plus 255. By the way, if I wanted to cash out that 10, you know what I could get right now? I could get $17.66. I know we're playing with just $10 here, so it doesn't sound like a lot, but this could be hundreds, this could be thousands. If you have a strategy, I understand why you would bet a lot here, because you're not going to lose everything in one fell swoop. You're going to have an entire game worth of decisions that you would have to make wrong to leave yourself with almost nothing. But we already don't have almost nothing, because we already just got back 15% of our bankroll on this one game, and it's still going on. What about this crazy parlay? What's going on here? Because I think Texas is beating Gonzaga. That big parlay is not offering me a cash out at all yet. But Texas is up by 10. San Francisco is up by 7 in the first. So everything, this is Mississippi plus 8.5. So everything's going really good here. So we're going to leave that alone. All right. Because if you can win, if you just flat out win and don't cash out either of these games, you're going to get, you're going to start to come back here. What else do we have that's active? We've got Knicks, which are not on here. I think I bet but the Kings are active right now. I thought I bet the Knicks. Pacers are over. Atlanta got destroyed. This Heat was a terrible idea. Mavericks are still going on right now. What's going on with that game? Mavericks. Ooh, they must be losing. They must be losing. I had an opportunity to cash this out for a gain at some point. They are down by 5 with 5.5 minutes left. I'm not worried yet. So we got to keep an eye on this one. If they ever offer me, if it's close and they're offering me a profit of any real profit, like $30 or more, I'll probably take it, because I think that's the right idea to do in this game. Anything else going on? Let me scroll through my bets just to make sure that I got a complete list in here, because I thought I bet something else. No, that's it. That is all that's there. And the Kings, it's offering me $25 right now. What happened there? Did they score? Must have. Take a look at that. Kings are up 1-0. So they would give me $25 on this Kings bet right now, which is not enough. Because that's only that's only a 25% ROI. We got to do better than that. I mean, we can't accept that. I feel like it's got to be at least 50, right? And sometimes more depending on the potential payout. So we have not won these games with Missouri State yet. We don't know what we're going to do in this parlay. But even though I made a lot of mistakes overdoing the Hawks and overdoing Buffalo for sure, you can see that distributing stuff on different outcomes and reading the algorithm is going to yield some really, really interesting things. And you'll find bigger lines, which I missed because I just didn't start this from the beginning of the day. And I also missed something like Detroit. I mean, let's go to the actual Google sheet, like I said we were going to do. So within the Google sheet here, and then we're going to talk about payroll, believe it or not, because I got asked about payroll. Someone said, I don't know what you do. I'm going to show you what you do, because the next set of videos are going to be on this, because it's like 50 days until the end of the year. We may as well do a state every day, given that I already have. So we're talking about payroll at the end of this video, if you're still with us. So what's cool about this is look at what happened in NCAA. Detroit crushed it, right? Like, look at the money lines. Let's open this up a little bit. So money line descending. So you had Detroit right here up home. They crushed it. Crushed it. Reverse lines on them won. They ended up winning the game by 14. So when you see They were an underdog and they stayed that way. I actually had them on my round robin that paid zero. This thing that got destroyed. Well, everything lose. Yeah, terrible, right? Of course, I have terrible instincts. Florida goes to lose by like 30 or something almost. But Detroit was an underdog and won, and that's fits the proper label of a good team here, which is home. Let's look at, let's just filter for home teams. How are they doing? Right? Look at them. They are, this doesn't change, but I don't think it does because it doesn't change unless we remove the records completely, not just filter them. But you can see only 2 losses. Canisius, whatever you want to call them. And Siena blows a late game to Army that I think might have gone into overtime. That was crazy. St. Mary's is beating Southern right now. And Idaho, I don't know. And Texas is beating Gonzaga. So our home team's once again looking pretty good in Canisius. I give Canisius the curse of the Canisius. God, that's awesome. But you can still conserve. And what's funny is I made money on that game. So I guess I had planned the strategy appropriately for when your team fights hard, comes back, looks like they're going to win and then loses, then you can win money doing this. And you can follow them up with plus points in basketball. It's tougher in hockey because I can see I lost goals stuff here. I bet this Blackhawks, right as they were down 2, they scored 3 seconds later, and this line would have been triple that or something. It's terrible. Terrible. So yeah, anyway, so like I said, I was going to finish this video about payroll. So I got asked like, hey, I don't know what your payroll thing is. So this is why I say I can't do the sports every day. Let me explain what's going on. So this is a Google sheet that has all 50 states tax rates and questions all organized out for if you if you have a small business and you hire some employees and you want to do what you're supposed to do and withhold tax properly, the employees fill out different stuff. And so I've done it all for all the states. Okay. And unemployment, and it's very, very, very extensive. And what happens is people that don't want to pay a lot for that muffler and don't want to pay, hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month for service to have somebody run their payroll, and they realize they can just do it themselves. They see this video series that I've been doing for a decade or something about doing this, but more than that. I think it's prior to 2012, even at this point. So definitely 2013 was a big one because I remember I had a big video in 2013 that got like 30,000 views. But basically, all the states and everything, they're all in here. Okay. And it's functional. However, it starts right about here. Here's Alabama. Like, here's how you code Alabama. Here's how you code Arizona. It's a real easy one. You just pick your rate. Here's Arkansas. Here's California. There's something called the California ETT tax, which is actually an employer tax. And I need to fix this because we're recording it incorrectly and withholding it from the employee's pay. That's something I need to talk about. So point is there's a lot of work that needs to be done on this for me to keep it correct and edit all the states. Well, because there are about 50 days left in the year, and some states don't have tax. I mean, look at how bad this is. Connecticut, right? Connecticut's red because it's wrong. Connecticut has probably the most annoying and extensive set of sub formulas you have to do to have the computer automatically calculate your state tax withheld in Connecticut. This is how many columns. We're just keep going. I mean, I don't think it highlights and tells you, but it's all the way from something to EM, right? From DR to EM. It's awful and it doesn't work right. So I have to spend a lot of time with this one. I have to go through every single one of them to make sure they're updated for the new year. So that there's dozens and dozens of clients across the country, small business owners, people of all walks of life that have bought and used this file for mostly their small business. But some not so small, like you can fit hundreds of employees in the Excel file versions of these. In this one, this Google Sheet one, where I kind of want to provide it to all people that want to subscribe to this, as I will keep it current if there's a group of subscribers that are going to be using this and want the most current version or want to be able to run scenarios. Because what it does is it allows you to completely change whatever your payroll period is and payroll cycle is, and completely change your pay dates. And it does all these crazy things. It basically, let's call it 1-1 or one. Yeah, there's so many things you can do here. Basically, but you can change everything, and it completely dynamically changes the entire pay structure for everyone. And you have things like pay stubs here. So you just now choose the new pay period, and you see that they'll probably be, yeah, the paycheck automatically appears. And this is all accurate and cumulatively running, your entire payroll. And what happens is because it can work for any state, including the District of Columbia, and I think I even set one up for the Virgin Islands as well. So it can work almost anywhere, but it needs to be updated, and it becomes, it becomes a job this time of year when all the different states are finalizing. Many of them have finalized and never changed their tax rates, and those are easy. But a lot of them make minor changes, and they issue preliminaries because they're dependent on the federal. And the federal is what's going to come out in what's called the publication 15. And the publication 15 is only in draft status now and never, ever, ever comes out until like right before the beginning of the year, if that. Sometimes I've even seen it come out after the start of the year when you already have to be withholding paychecks from your employees. So it's why it's good to have a dynamic version ready for people to download and access in the Google Sheet so they can get the current version, because you can also use it to update your own personal Excel file, which is what I often send to business owners that have a significant number of employees. You can get hundreds of employees in the Excel file. You can't functionally run with hundreds of employees in this one. The Google Sheet is only so powerful, even though it is cleaner and it has a lot of cool things I like that make it nice. And I created it as a newer generation after I wanted to migrate out of Excel as well with this, and I reprogrammed everything. So now I have two versions to monitor, but I want to make the Google Sheet version the base because it's very easy for all of us to access and alter for our own benefit. So, and it's a great way for me to update everything in one place. And if people find errors or need to comment on something, because there's a person who pointed out the error about the ETT tax for California, that what that is doing is that is pulling out this this right here. What is it called? This one. It's a very, very small amount. Oftentimes, it's a really low percentage. So, but it's being withheld from the employee's net pay, and then it gets paid to California because it's not an employee's responsibility. It's the employer's responsibility. It's deceiving, and actually, you owe your employees in California, those who have been using this file, you owe your employees this amount of money, actually, in just the raw form, because whatever it was for the year, if you paid your ETT tax with it and didn't pay them with it, then you would be shortchanging them. So things like that, where there's so much going on in this file. There's so much going on here. I mean, I've got these basically in every single state, there's different filing statuses that you have. Like I basically cubed the entire tax structure for everybody, for all states, and it's all right here. And there's standard deduction amounts, and there's little tables for all the states, and it works. And I've been doing it for years, and so but it's something that requires just a significant amount of attention from now until basically the beginning of the year, as I have to service everyone. So doing all these sports, all of them, is impossible during that payroll season, because I'm going to be getting emails all day long sometimes from different payroll people and new clients that I sell it to. And everybody gets a response from me because the payroll file can basically do anything. I mean, it really can. It can do anything. If it's a number and a withholding amount, it can be created into a formula, and you can do it. Like always can be automated. And you have all your reports in here too. Like there's a 941 report. All this stuff is super dynamic. You just click quarter and the whole report changes. You got a breakdown of all the employees in certain categories. You've got state reports for every single state, right? It's craziness. It is, and then you got your W-2s, at the end of the year. Like, so this is what it is it's essentially like your payroll program that you'd be using as an interface online with a payroll provider, except you're the person taking responsibility, which by the way, even when you have a payroll provider, you still have business responsibility to report properly and pay. So it's still your responsibility. So why not take control of that and see all your employees in the proper format and and be able to just have your payroll thing in one cool file and all your reports dynamic. That's what it does. All right. So good luck, everybody. I don't know how the picks are doing, but I wanted to work on payroll after I realized that doing all the sports stuff was fun. I definitely learned a lot, but I learned a lot, but I would have been happier if I had fixed California completely before the end of this video, and also started to work on Connecticut or get an idea about the dates of some of the states. I would have been happier doing some of that work to get ahead of the game on that, because some of them will be done already, and we're gonna do that. But at least we talked about it in the video, and we'll see if Missouri State ends up coming back and winning. That's apparently a huge thing. All right, good luck, everybody. May all your picks be winning and all your payroll be easy. Make it so.